Good afternoon, I'm Lucy Brazier from Executive Secretary magazine. So wave, but not too hard. So let's start over here. I speak at events all over the world. Last year, 183 events, and they are all specifically for assistants. These events are so important because the role for the assistant is changing hugely, and it's also a very isolated role, I think. Most assistants work in silos, they very rarely get out to talk to other assistants, and they feel quite often that it's just them who is working in an environment where maybe the company doesn't get quite what it is that they do. And time again, they come to me and they say, you know, my company really hasn't caught up with the way that the role has changed and we're not being utilised in the way we should be. And there's an awful lot of frustration, as well as celebration about the things they're being asked to do. So to come to an event like this, they get together, they talk to each other, they understand that actually there are other people in the same boat as them, and then they get inspired to go off and do amazing things within their companies themselves and to get out and join maybe external networks and do some more of it. So, let's go by the downturn. Let's talk about why the downturn changed this role from tea and typing, which is what people traditionally think of the role as, into something where you are strategic business partnership with your executive, and where actually you have risen from being purely support into being somebody that is very definitely working alongside your executive. There are two different types of networks. Obviously, there are internal networks and there are external networks, but I would say that the companies should be supporting internal networks particularly, because you have this huge amount of knowledge and resource within your businesses, and because the assistants do tend to work in silos, you could tend to find that there is an assistant over here who is developing an absolutely amazing travel plan, for example, and there's somebody over here who did that 3 months ago and spent literally hours on it. And where they're not sharing resource, they're not understanding the best way to get the best out of each other. Whereas once they get together and they start networking, they understand what the strengths and weaknesses are and they train each other, which obviously drops directly to the bottom line for the businesses.
I think it's really good to network with other PAs, and all the hub sessions and short courses are really good for finding out new things and building the skills and sharing best practice.
For me personally, I really enjoyed the networking session. I find that sometimes a bit awkward, what to say, what not to say. And Kim gave some really useful tips and made it sound really easy.
It's a really good session. Our minute taking probably the best one I've ever been to. That's good.
We actually both went to the same ones quite randomly. And having been to 3 of these conferences, that is the best minute taking one. It was very relevant, it was appropriate, and was at a good level of understanding.
And then, you know, they've argued about that, and that one's argued about their point, and that one's argued their point, and you've lost the will to live by this time. Your gin and tonic's on the table looking like a glass of water, but you're just knocking it back, thinking, oh, I can't take much more of this. Oh no, that was me, sorry. And then the good chair at the end says, right, okay, Elaine, if you could note on the minutes, we've agreed that, or it was proposed that.
So today so far, I've really enjoyed listening to Lucy Brazier again. I heard her a few years ago, and she's always really quite insightful about the different behavioural problems and issues you can come across working with different levels in an organisation and different styles of characters that you come across.
Let's look at this first one, who is the proactive leader. They have a desire to win, a willingness to state unpopular decisions. They're driven, they're quick to challenge, but they can be insensitive, easily bored, aggressive, impatient, ruthless, and a poor delegator. Anybody recognising themselves or their executive there? Yay!
I quite enjoyed hearing Paul talk about using the task list. I must admit I'm probably in my mid-50s, so I'm probably more of one of the traditional PAs who really likes having an A4 pad and pen by the phone and by the PC. So the idea of being able to categorise them and actually know that they're always going to be there and you're not going to lose them.
Can you see what I'm trying to illustrate here? We've got lots of different pots of where we've got our tasks and things to do. Do you agree?
Yeah.
And sometimes, no matter how professional or how much we care about our role, don't you agree that sometimes things fall through the cracks?
I set up the Exeter PA network because I had a lot of contacts. I talked to PAs regularly, I emailed PAs regularly, but I had never had an opportunity to put faces to names.
So what's important are PAs are used across all kinds of businesses, so it's recognising that a PA role is relevant, whether that's the public sector, the private sector, the health sector, so it's about bringing everyone together and being able to share things across the board.
In terms of organisations supporting their PAs going to networking events, it reflects really well on the organisation itself, because the PA will be there as an ambassador for their organisation and will be shouting about how their organisation is supporting their personal development. So it's great for the organisation in terms of employer brand.
What would you say to anyone thinking about coming to the 2018 conference?
Just do it.
I think if you're thinking of coming along to the 2018 conference, just come with an open mind and just really embrace networking and mixing with other PAs, and just trying to take on more sort of information and get to know them, find out a bit more about their roles and see what the differences are and see if there's any way of actually trying to change the way you're working too.